Welcome to From the Honeycomb podcast. I am your host, Katerina. Join me as we explore stories of fearless female entrepreneurs and inspiring women in architecture, construction, engineering, and beyond. Each episode is a captivating blend of topics that resonate with the soul. Whether you're here to learn more about entrepreneurship, architecture, holistic living, or just need a little extra inspiration, you've come to the right place. So sit back, relax, and let the buzz of positive energy spark your curiosity. Happy 2025, everyone. Welcome to a new year. I am really excited that it's 2025. Although this recording is happening in 2024, I am just so excited for 2025. The year to be here. As many of you know, 2024 was a really hard, challenging year for me. And I'm just going to leave all of that in 2024 because we're going to talk about 2025 in this episode. And I'm just excited to share some updates with you and kind of talk about what to expect with the podcast, what's been kind of going on, and also share my word of the year for 2025, which I am so excited for this word. It's actually 2 words, but I'm excited to share those. As you know, we begin every episode by sharing something that we are grateful for in the present moment. And what I am grateful for in the present moment is my conversation with Amy Edwards from Markedly. She is a guest that's going to be coming up on the podcast this month. And I just recorded with her episode. And after the episode, we kind of talked and I, mentioned this update that's happening in my life and which I'm going to get to in the episode, but I don't want to share it right now. So we talked about it and she really validated my feelings. So Amy, if you're listening to this episode, thank you for the little pep talk you gave me after, because this change that's going to be happening, it has to do with the podcast, was one that was really hard for me. And, I've been feeling really burnt out and just felt like I was doing so much. And I shared that with Amy and she really validated my feelings and was like, as an entrepreneur, you try to do the best. Your heart is in so many things. And I'm quoting her directly. Your heart is in so many things. And it felt like in 2024, my heart was in so many things. There's KBA, my business. Then there's, the podcast. I am I'm the new co-programs director at AWA Plus D. And I took on another, position at another affiliate group. And my heart was in so many things. And I was making an ebook. I wrote an ebook and I did my collaboration with Aloha Lovely. And there were so many things. And I had my heart in so many things. But I was really, really burnt out at the end of 2024, which I'm going to get to that in the podcast episode. But what I want to share now is I'm really grateful for that conversation with Amy because it was really reassuring and very validating to talk to another entrepreneur. And she said, you have to take breaks. You have to be able to decompress essentially. And so I'm just really, really grateful for that conversation because this is an episode that I have been dragging my feet on when to record, how to talk about it. This is actually, I think, my 4th version of the intro into this, but this is the farthest I've gotten yet because I just wanted to make sure I share with you how I've been feeling and what has been going on. And just kind of, but keeping it light and lighthearted because 2025, I am just really excited for this year and what this year is going to bring. Hi, it's me, Katerina. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to share with you something that can change the trajectory of your life. If you are ready to start your own architecture firm but are feeling overwhelmed by where to begin, I understand, because I felt the same way when I first embarked on my entrepreneurial journey. This is why I have created the ebook, The Mindful Blueprint for Launching Your Architecture Firm. This comprehensive workbook contains everything I wish I had known before starting my own firm. From building a solid business plan to creating your brand, The Mindful Blueprint for Launching Your Architecture Firm offers a step-by-step guide tailored to your timeline, whether you're launching your firm today, next month, or in a few years. Dive into essential topics like financial planning, organization strategies, and how to secure your first client, all in one convenient resource. That's right, you don't have to spend hours researching. I have done that for you so you can focus on building your business. And that's not all. With your purchase, you'll also receive an exclusive meditation for business owners, mindfulness tips, a crystal guide for support, and gratitude exercises to help you stay focused and positive throughout your journey. Turn your dream of having your own firm into a reality with the Mindful Blueprint for Launching Your Architecture Firm. Click on the link in the show notes to get your copy today. Now, let's dive into the episode. So obviously I just teased a little bit in the sharing what I'm grateful for on what's coming up with the podcast. So I will be taking a hiatus with the podcast. That is like the big news that I'm sharing today. If you listen to my entrepreneurship end of quarter 4 episode, which I'll provide a link in the show notes if you want to go back and listen to that, you will know that I had plans for the podcast to grow. And I was going to start an Abundant Architect series. And to be 100% transparent and honest, when I shared that on the podcast episode, there was a pit in my stomach where I was like, should I even mention it? I even think I said in the episode, should I even mention the Abundant Architect series? Because a part of me, when I first came up with the idea, back in, I think it was like September, October, it was like August, September, where I was like, oh, I'll do the Abundant Architect series every other week. I'm going to have like shorter episodes and it's going to be helping you start your own business. And I was so excited about the idea. But then as 2024 progressed and towards the end of 2024, I really started to feel burnout. The month of November was extremely challenging with a lot of things happening. And I just was like, just pretty much done, ready to just be like, I don't think I can continue. I ended up lining up some guests for 2025, which I am so excited about them. And they really were like making me get excited about the podcast and interviewing again. And then I just had the conversation with Amy, and there's just those conversations fuel me up so much. But then when it comes to the getting the episodes ready, like my favorite part is sitting down and talking with my guests. But then it's the marketing and the sharing the podcast episode and getting the notes. And just there's been so much of it. And I've just been starting to feel really, really burnt out. And, I was having this conversation kind of in my head for a few weeks now, few months. Actually, really November is when the idea really came to me where I was like, what if I just stop the podcast? It was possible that I was going to do it in 2025 anyway, take a break, try to reduce. I was trying to reduce because I didn't want to fully let the podcast go. That's where my idea came with, well, why don't I do shorter episodes every other week? Because also like I do my Happy Podcast Friday on Instagrams and all of that. And that was just taking so much energy. And then in December, what kind of solidified it, there's a personal thing that has to do with finances. And I had to also look at my finances and letting something kind of go. And podcasting is one of the things that just unfortunately didn't fit into the budget at the moment. And so there's actually other things I have had to let go due to this financial strain. And so this was a very hard decision. Trust me, I have cried and cried about it. I have talked to Jesse about it. I've talked to friends about it. But really, I talked to Jesse and friends about it once I'd kind of already made the decision. And it was definitely a hard decision to say that I'm going on a hiatus, which I should share with you when that's happening. The hiatus. So I have incredible, incredible guests in January. You're going to love them. February, incredible guests are coming on. And then about mid-February will be my last episode for the time being. This isn't a farewell. Podcast is never happening again. This is I need a minute. I need a break. I need a hiatus. The podcast, we just had the 3-year anniversary. I mean, I've been podcasting since 2021, and I've almost every week, I would say there's been periods of like when I was studying for my exams or I take time off during the holidays, but almost for 3 years, it's been, a podcast episode almost every Friday. And there's just come a point where it has just become too much in some weeks. And it's felt like sometimes it's not as fun as it used to be. And so that's kind of why I'm like, I need a moment to take a break, to take a pause. And like I mentioned, in my gratitude portion when I was talking to Amy, and she's like, your heart is in so many things. And my heart has been in so many things. And I also think my heart has been just like starting to really expand, and it's becoming too much for me. And I definitely at the end of 2024 felt a major, major burnout, and it was affecting me mentally, physically, emotionally. And so, my word of 2024 was create. And I was like, okay, well, what's my word of 2025 going to be? And one night as I was falling asleep, I think it was actually the night I officially made the decision that the podcast is going to have to take a hiatus. I was falling asleep and I had this I was thinking and thinking, and all of a sudden it was my brain or whatever, the universe. I got this download essentially where it was like, you need to slow down in 2025. And I was like, that's it. That's going to be my word or words, I guess, is slow down. I feel like, thinking about the last few years with finishing my exams, getting my company started, 2024 was the first year I worked for myself, solely for myself. And I've just been going and going and hustling and hustling. And I love all these projects and all these things like my podcast and the ebook and this. And I had so much fun creating all of that in 2024. But I'm just feeling such a burnout, and I want to be able to show up. I want to be able to show up on Instagram, which is something I haven't really been doing. It's something I haven't really been doing, is showing up on Instagram, is what I said. And so I've just wanted to take like a pause. And so that's kind of what the big news is with the podcast. I know it's something totally different than what I shared a couple weeks ago with my, end of the year kind of recap solo episode of 2024. But like I said, even when I was recording that episode, I knew deep down that I wasn't like, it just felt like I was being forced to keep going. And so, like I said, it's been a very, very hard decision. It's one it wasn't like an overnight, like, hey, we're just going to pause it. It's been something that I've been thinking about and feeling about. And the podcast has brought me so much joy, so many connections, so many collaborations. I love connecting with other women, like-minded women, learning about so much about entrepreneurship, architecture, just everybody's stories and journeys. And it's just been so fun connecting. But at the end of the day, like, I have to focus on my mental health. I have to focus on my emotional health and just where I'm at right now. And so that means slowing down and saying no to a lot of things, which actually at the end of 2024, I said no to lots of things. And let me tell you, it was empowering as fuck. Okay. I felt so empowered saying no to so many things. I got asked to be vice president for a business club. And I said, unfortunately, I can't take it on because I knew once you become vice president, you become president. And I said it was too much of a commitment for me. And I was like, would it be something that would help me? Would it not? And it just became so much. And, one of the things is when you are a competent person, which I am competent, organized, people want you to be on boards. This isn't the first, actually. I got asked to be a vice president for another group, knowing that then I would become president the following year. So that means both of those organizations, I would have been vice president the same year and then president after. And I just said, unfortunately, no, because I wanted to be able to say yes to certain things that I do want to say yes to. And that was, being the co-programs chair at AWA plus D has been so fun. It's something that I really wanted to do. I love going to AWA plus D events. I'm going to give them a shout out. If you're in the Southern California area and you are in architecture, you're a woman in design, landscape architecture, civil engineer, anything like in the kind of AEC industry, AWA plus D has been such a great community for me. And I love going to their events. And now I get to plan their events. And that meant taking that position, it had to make room for that position, right? And so there's only so many things that I can do. And so, and that's a 2-year position, which I'm really excited about. And it is taking more time than I had anticipated. And that's okay. That's something you kind of have to learn as you go and you accept things and you do new challenges and take things and new roles and responsibilities, right? But I had to make space for that. And so I've had to say no to a lot of things, a lot of offers, and it's just been really liberating and empowering because I am really tired. 2024 kicked my butt and I am just ready to just slow down. Like, I want such a chill year in 2025 because that was something too, as I think I was talking with Jesse about, is I feel like I am sitting in front of a computer screen 7 days a week because not only am I working on my business Monday through Friday, but then I've got the podcast stuff or other things, or I'm answering, or doing admin stuff and emails Saturdays and Sundays. And I don't necessarily, it's maybe for like a half hour or an hour, if anything. But there are weeks where I will go consistently. And lately, because there were so many things happening and I had to take time off in the middle of the week, so I was catching up on work on the weekends, it just felt like I'm constantly in front of a computer screen. And I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be able to go do more fun things and be outside more. And that means getting away from the computer screen, which means, having to say no and giving up a lot of things. And so that's where it comes in. My word of the year for 2025 is slow down. And I'm so excited to slow down. I'm excited because feel like I've really taken on a lot in 2024. And all of these things that I have taken on is just, like I said, I'm just tired. I really am. And I know I'm recording this from 2024. And also, I'm sorry if in the background you hear a car. I don't know what kind of car has been making noise, but it is super, super loud. I forgot that on Fridays the trash truck comes. So hopefully you didn't hear that in my last episode that I recorded. But anyway, don't want a tangent. It's like, I feel like I have that kind of sometimes where I'm just like, oh, squirrel. So anyway, so finally the car parked. I wonder if it'll be edited out or no, but it was just like a really piercing sound in my headphones. Anyway, back to what I was saying is I'm just so tired. I just feel like I've put my heart into so many things and so many projects in 2024, and it's just been so fun, but I'm ready to slow down. I'm ready to have weekends that aren't full of catching up on work. And so with that, it just means slowing down because end of 2024, I was burnt. I was really burnt to the point where I think it was affecting work because I didn't want to work at this point. Like getting to the holidays, that was a tough week. The week leading up to Christmas, man, once I got all of my deadline stuff done, and I made sure to get all my deadlines, done early in the week because I wasn't sure what would come up. You never know as an entrepreneur. And I feel like anyone, you never know. You put together your to-do list Monday morning, and then it sometimes just goes out the window by Monday lunchtime, right? Because something else happens, or you get a phone call from a contractor or a consultant or something, or a client, and this needs to change. So, and I did procrastinate on one project a couple months ago that I wish I hadn't, and it really bit me in the ass. So I just want to make sure I didn't procrastinate. So just the week leading up to Christmas, it was so hard, but I was so burnt. I didn't want to show up and be present. And I wasn't completely burnt to the point of just complete exhaustion, but I was so, so close. And I think one of the things is recognizing when you are getting close to completely burning out and being like, hold up, stop, let's regroup. And so I'm fortunate that I was able to regroup in December. December was like the month of saying no, and really, like, what was it? I saw something on Instagram, like December is like declutter, de-stress, deorganize, or something like that. And really that's what I did in December is I have really just decluttered and really figured out, what no longer serves me, what no longer do I want to do, especially saying no to things that don't excite me, and then saying no thank you to the things that kind of excite me. But I know because I am someone who likes to say yes to a lot of things. And then, in the future, I'm like, why did I say yes to this? So saying no thank you to things that even though they excited me, I wanted to do them. I know I need the space. I need to take the break because in 2025, I really need to focus on slowing down and not rushing in to another list of projects. It's going to be very hard. I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be really hard because, so like I said, I'm recording this right before Christmas. And then between Christmas and New Year's, I always like to write down. First, I'm going to reflect on 2024, which I think if you have not reflected on 2024, I know we're still at the beginning of January 2025. If you're listening to this, it is very important for you, I think, for everybody to reflect on the previous year. What worked, what didn't work, what did you want to leave in 2024, what is no longer serving you, what are you just like, December 31st, goodbye, I don't ever want to remember this or think about this, right? What did you leave in 2024? And then I think, taking the time to think about, okay, so what do I want in 2025? And I know a lot of people say, well, nothing happened. Like, it's not like this magic thing that happens on December 31st and then you wake up January 1st and 2025 is this whole new year and it's amazing. And oh my gosh, like it's not like a switch. To those people, that's maybe not for you. For me this year, that is what I went into the New Year's. Now, again, I'm recording this from the past, so we'll see what happens, New Year's Eve. But there is something I think as a collective that because a lot of people go into the New Year's like, okay, new year, new me, new, all this stuff. People have resolutions, things like that, which I don't do resolutions. I do goals. I think because resolutions is, you're trying to like resolve something and fix something. And I don't think I'm trying to necessarily fix anything. I'm trying to better myself. So I don't really do resolutions. I do goals and things like what I want to do in the next year. So that's what 2025 for me is going to look like. I'm really trying to slow down and think about it. And how I got onto this little tangent, I feel like, because I'm all over this place right now, is I feel like it's going to be very, very hard because between Christmas and New Year's, I like to take the time to think about what do I want to bring in for 2025. And I know I'm going to start saying, I want this, I want to do this, I want to achieve this. This is a goal of this and all this. And it's going to be personal. It's going to be for my business. It's going to be like creatively, financially, travel, everything I want to do. And I know I'm going to look at it. And I probably should tell myself right now, cut everything in half, because I am very ambitious. I am a very ambitious, goal-driven person who wants to do so much, who loves staying busy. And so I think it's going to be a huge challenge for me. And this is a challenge I'm ready to accept, to slow down. So I'm going to slow down in 2025. Wish me luck. I hope that 2025 is going to be a good slowdown year. But like I said, at the end of 2024, I was feeling a lot of it. And so unfortunately, that's what's brought me to the point of taking a hiatus with the podcast. So I will not be doing the Abundant Architect series. I really like that idea. It was really fun. Maybe I will bring it in the future, but for the present moment, I don't know if now you can hear, there's a trash truck. I forgot on Fridays when I sometimes used to record. I had to stop recording on Fridays, but anyway, the trash truck is here. So here we go. And I lost my thought again. But so the hiatus. So no Abundant Architect series. It'll be guest episodes until about the middle of February. And then it's going to be a break. It's not going to be, like I said, it's not a goodbye forever. I'm not ending the podcast. Like, I love From the Honeycomb podcast. It has been so fun for me. And it is a creative outlet, and it's a place where I can meet other amazing women and talk to them and connect with them. And it also gives me a reason sometimes to be like, hey, I really want to chat. Like, you want to come on my podcast? Let's talk. And that has been so, so fun. Like, I can even feel myself lighting up when I talk about it. But I have to take this break because it's really important. My mental health is really important. And so when will the podcast be coming back? Honestly, I don't know. I've also thought like, hey, maybe if, and I'm not ever going to not record. And I think if some moment comes up and I'm like, hey, I want to get behind the microphone and I want to record an episode, like, especially with like entrepreneurship stuff and updates and like, hey, here's what's going on. Or if I meet someone and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, you have to come on the podcast. I'm allowing myself to be open to that, but it's not going to be a podcast episode every week. Also, the podcast episodes are long. Like, if you don't have your own podcast, I don't think listeners realize, and I've said this in other episodes, how much work goes into getting an episode out. And that's across the board. Even I think about it because the podcasts I love listening to, they have teams that put out episodes every week. And yes, I have my incredible podcast editor who's been amazing, which that was really hard to tell her too, that the podcast, I just was needing to take a hiatus. But, I don't have a producer. I don't have a production team. I don't have a full marketing. And yes, at one point I was thinking about like bringing those people on, but also those people cost money. And, there's a lot of aspects to the podcasting that it is fun for me. And I've enjoyed a lot of it. But like I said, I think it's just the word needing to slow down, because when it came into my mind and I was like, okay, that's my word for 2025, slow down. I just felt this immense moment of just like, okay, 2025, I'm going to slow down. And there was just this relief, a huge sense of relief that I didn't have to continue doing things that were kind of burning me out. And so with that being said, I'm really excited for the guests that we have coming on for 2025. Like I said, I just recorded with Amy, and and I've got some episode podcast recordings coming up in January with some incredible guests that I'm so grateful have taken or saying to take the time to come on the podcast. But yeah, and I know I have a growing list of people I want to invite on the podcast. And so, that's a list I'm going to keep, and I'm still going to be on social media. That's also something I wanted to share too, is like, I've been taking a break. If you've noticed on 2024, I wasn't really posting on social media. Like, there wasn't really posts. A lot of it was I was just too busy. I became too busy between my KBA stuff and then working and then some personal things. I just didn't even have the time and the creative juices to be posting. And so that's something too. I want to go back to posting, and I like sharing advice on, entrepreneurship. That's something I am passionate about. So watch the space. I'll be sharing. I just don't know in what capacity yet, because slowing down means slowing down. And that may mean not a post every day, excuse me. And that's something too, I think I've noticed a shift on social media, and I don't know if you have, and I've heard this on another podcast too, is the feeling that you need to post every single day on Instagram. And it's this like, you have to be showing up I don't think that's where we are anymore with social media. I think during COVID, we were very much into social media because that's how we all connected with each other because we physically couldn't be together. And then I think now what's happening is people are realizing a lot of accounts I saw in 2024 burned out. A lot of people I admire and follow were like, yeah, peace out. I need to take some time off. And, it's okay. And like life is happening outside of our little phones. And so that's something to always remember that, we don't always have to have, just because we aren't living on our phones and on our social media doesn't mean we're not living life. And so yeah. Living life. Man, that's actually maybe would have been better for 2025. Slow down or live life. No, I feel like live life is a little too energetic. The vibes with live life are a little more energetic than I'm going for. So I'm going to stick to slowing down in 2025. So again, happy 2025. I know this probably was not the episode that you were anticipating starting out with 2025, but I'm only human and I felt the need to kind of take a time out. And so I'm taking a time out, and like I said, I've got a few more amazing guests coming on, and I'll be ending the episode with before I go on hiatus, I'm going to come back one more time, give a little solo update, kind of tell you what's going on, but I feel really good and at peace with this decision. And so, yeah, I want to be there. I want to show up. I want this to be, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Life is definitely a marathon, not a sprint. And I feel like I've been sprinting a lot lately. And I'm ready for like the walking, chill, slow down portion of life. So yeah, I'm really excited for that aspect. So thank you for listening. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. If you're new, welcome. This is like episode 155. So if you are like, well, Katerina, what am I going to listen to while you're on your hiatus? You have 154 episodes to listen to, and you've got some coming up. So don't worry. There's tons and tons of content. If you're new, check out past episodes. It's, that also means a lot to me. I love seeing when like random episodes that I like recorded 2 years ago, all of a sudden, like, I don't know how people find it. And I'm like, how is this episode popular again? So that's really, really fun because no behind it. We'll still be looking at numbers and seeing where everybody listens to the podcast because I always really enjoy that. So yeah, with that, I'm going to welcome year of 2025. And I'm excited to see what this year will bring. I am going in with low expectations, which is something I learned in 2024. Lower your expectations. And so far it's been better. Every time I lower my expectations, everything exceeds my expectations. So that's been really good. But yeah, I'm really excited to slow down in 2025. And like I said, thank you for being here on this journey with me. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of From the Honeycomb podcast. If you enjoyed it, please take a moment to rate, review, and share it with your friends. To stay connected, follow me on Instagram at From the Honeycomb podcast, and you can support the podcast through the Patreon link in the show notes. And don't forget to subscribe to my monthly newsletter where I share exclusive behind-the-scene content and tips on running a mindful and successful architecture business. Thank you again for listening, and stay curious.